All right. Hey, listen, finally, we made it. I made it. I hope everybody's having a great day. And forgive me for the delays. Technology shows up sometimes and we fight through it. So, those of you that were there at 12 o'clock, please, or 11 o'clock Central, please come back. Make sure you hear the replay. And as always, share this thing, subscribe. And I'll tell you what, just chatting with our guest, man, she's got some really dynamite things that you'll want to make sure you get before you get too far away from this, right? So we appreciate everybody that's going to hear this message. I know most folks are already gone, but hey, listen, I got to tell you something. This guest we're going to be bringing up, man, she is just the real deal and so patient, so gracious. And that's what our show is all about, right? Conversations with Geoff evolved from all the noise, all the outside chatter that everybody's involved in, that external noise that kind of carries us and puts weight on us. And it kind of lines up right next to the internal noise, right? What we call the stinking thinking, not stinking, but stinking thinking. Really bad. Ooh, man, can't get away from it type thinking that we go through each and every day. So I ask you, I encourage you, man, if you haven't been able to check out many of our sessions, go back and listen to all the different types of experiences and the different types of professional backgrounds and the variety of folks that have a very common thing. And that's that they've recognized the power of mastering their thoughts, right? I mean, that is the most important gift we all have because everything starts with an idea, starts with a thought. So I challenge you each and every day. How are you preparing yourself to end your day at night? That's right. At the end of the day, man, are you all wound up? Are you carrying all that baggage from the day's experiences, put it on your soft pillow, go to sleep, and your head just continues to run? Especially after you maybe watched a bunch of news and all the stuff you hear about all the time, right? Garbage in, garbage out. It's a simple process, man. I'm a simple kind of guy when we start talking about this stuff. Right? Or are you the one that says, oh, hey, listen, I've learned a few things. I need to maybe find a quiet space. I need to stay away from my computer for a couple hours before I lay down. Set my phone down and not pick it up anymore after a certain point of the night. And that's hard to do. I get it, right? And then what about the whole body, kind of connecting your body again? And I got to tell you, man, the whole breathing process and practice, it does miracles. And anybody can do it. Right, you close, you find a quiet space, you set your body in a comfortable position, and you begin to inhale all of the great things that you feel about yourself and about life, and at the time you count 1, 2, 3, 4, and then you exhale all the stinking thinking you had for the day. And you do that a couple of times until you can feel your body just kind of come back in its place, man. Boy, you connect your mind, your thoughts, and your actions and your emotions and your body, you become an unstoppable being. And anybody can do this, right? Anybody can do this. So I want to thank everyone that's been supporting us and welcome all the newcomers and let us know when you do hear this, where you're from and how you felt about what we're delivering. And if there's a message that you would like also for us to share, please let us know that in the comments. We welcome all encouraging ideas and thoughts, right? I want to just take a second and I'm going to get to our guest. But today, I'm no different than anybody else. My life has craziness that comes up. And man, I fall down a rabbit hole. I've been talking about it on the last couple of shows around training with my wife, exercising with my wife, right? And today was another opportunity, man. I love my wife. She's my partner, right? And we were outside. We like to get out, walk and run. She's a runner and all that. So anyway, we're walking fast. We pace walking. We're moving, right? Move. Got to the one point and we're turning around. And then she says, hey, honey, would you mind doing some intervals for me? What that means, hey, do you mind running with me? Hey, I used to run. I'm not a runner anymore. She's a runner. And the first thing that came to me was a whole bunch of things I can't say live on TV or on the What? Run? No way. I want to scream and cry. Why would I want? And I just snapped. I said, yes. Right? And we did it. And what was running into my head was, man, I have a little part of my life, and I'm either going to tell them that I made it I'm not exempt from this thinking as well, and I have to practice it each and every day. Every day I go to the gym and I grab that confidence dumbbell, and I grab that conversation dumbbell, and I grab that thinking dumbbell, and whatever one I work out the best is the one that wins for that day. So I encourage you to do the same thing. So anyway, hey, we're about recognizing the power of your thoughts. I made a note here. Maybe I'll get to it at the end. So anyway, let me just get to our guest who's been so patiently waiting. Shelby is just a powerful young lady, a licensed independent social worker, the owner of Essential Life Tools. Excuse me, she's on the board of the National Association of Social Workers. Has been a child care coach, facilitates a Time to Heal survivorship class for cancer patients, and is a therapist in the Better Health platform. She recently wrote a chapter in a book. You guys got to get this book. It's coming out soon, right? Global Conscious Entrepreneurs, with Marian Diamond and others, to be launched on July 19th, 2023. So that's the next month. So you want to make sure you be on the lookout for that. And her role, providing therapy, she helps clients replace weaknesses and strengths in less than 10 minutes. That's fast, right? I'm curious to how she does that myself. And in business roles, she's got a ton of things in the business and leadership roles. She's additional specialization in environmental needs for those with dyslexia, sensory, ADHD, and autism. All things that we know are big in this day and age, right? So she's got some answers for you in that space. Ladies and gentlemen, let me see if there's anything else. I'll maybe just let her do that. Let me bring to the stage my new friend, 10X superstar, Shelby Czarnick. Let's see if we can find her. Hey, Shelby.
Hey.
Good to see you after a few minutes ago. Yep. So, man, again, thank you for being so patient as we went through all the hoops. She was on time, folks. It was a technical difficulty and a challenge and all that stuff. So we got through it, though, and she was super patient, man. So I really appreciate that. So, but anyway, we had a chance to talk before everything came on board. So, you want to pick it up, maybe a little bit more about yourself, and then we'll kind of get to it.
Yeah, so one of the things we did talk about was that sticks in my mind when we were talking about some of the struggles. I mentioned that I was newly graduated, just got my license, and then I was asked to open behavioral health services 45 minutes away in a separate clinic. And I did that. And then 6 months later, I was asked to open a behavioral health service line within a school system. And those two things hadn't been done before.
And the magnitude in that, folks are wondering why we're talking about it, is that you just got out of school, right? I mean, and the responsibilities of that was fairly significant.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. I provided the direct line, and then I did all the policies and procedures. And then in mental health, we deal with some really difficult things that can lead to the criminal side of things, or law enforcement if it comes to suicide or abuse. And every county in the area here in Nebraska does that differently.
So the mental health, which is a big thing, and part of them are four core key things that we talk about in that space. So a big responsibility, fresh out of school. I don't imagine you had a whole lot of experience, life experience in that space either, right? Or did you?
Yeah, not specifically in the mental health, but what I've learned when I built my portfolio is I have leadership and program building and team building probably since I was 15, if you want to go back that far.
Yeah, no, that's great. So you had some previous experiences in other areas that prepared you for something like this.
Yeah, so dealing with conflict and working with CEOs and stuff had been something I had kind of done before.
Yeah, that's nice. And I guess it's good to hear you talk about that for folks out there that, may be placed in that same situation and may not have the exact expertise that they're looking for, but can call back on previous experiences or other skill sets to be able to allow you to function and succeed like you've done. Would that be fair to say?
Yeah, That's one of the biggest things is luckily we were talking about, I've had the opportunity to have my own mental health therapist for most of my life. And maybe that's why I do have some insight into my strengths, or I'm resourceful and I can network pretty well. So when I'm in those situations, I kind of know what to do, or I know there's always a safety net.
Yeah. So you say you've had some support in mental health most of your life.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Have you? Wasn't aware. What? Do you mind sharing any part of that at all? Or?
I know. I was like,
I'm a little nosy. I'm not sure I always ask. Yeah.
Well, it does. See, it provides the opportunity, because I remember I said, challenges provide the opportunity to learn about yourself or to learn what to do next. So when we're having technical difficulties, I'm like, well, now you know for next time. So I hope you feel relief and you feel lighter, because that's kind of, I've noticed my clients tell me that's what they always want me to do. But I digress back to it. So, so I've had a mental health therapist. I always get the age. My parents always correct me on the age. It feels like since I was probably 4, because they were working through some things, and then they ended up getting divorced when I was young. Okay. And my therapist, luckily, is different, as in she's very proactive.
Nice.
And so that's why I say I've had the opportunity to have a therapist on and off since then, and the same therapist. Because I can't imagine having to retell my story every single time, where I can just go in for what I call like booster sessions. And then it allows me to describe mental health this way, as in I put it on a spectrum, kind of like medical, where the world can give you a virus and you go see your doctor for a while and they give you a treatment and you go back out in the world until there's another virus. And then for a while there, I could joke, like COVID. We're in a literal pandemic. Humor is one of my things too. And if you don't, help it, that virus can grow from the flu to pneumonia. It's the same path, just a longer, different treatment. And there are some things that are more chronic, like diabetes. But even then, the treatment's different. Some do lifestyle changes. Some do the treatment of insulin. Some come in weekly. Some come in yearly. Some want to be proactive and just do that preventative. And so I always say with my patients, we'll kind of figure that out together. But since I believe that environment piece, I'm a strong believer in having a brain team just like a physical team. Because it's not that I don't think people can't get through what they're getting through. It just can feel less lonely. And you can get there faster when you do it with someone, with the experience that they have. And then I'm here to help people reach their best life, whatever that looks like. And luckily, that's what my therapist believes in too. So that's why I will always go to her when I'm struggling, or there's a pattern that keeps going and like, I don't know what's going on. Or when I built these programs, I could go to her as a mentor, and then she provided me the connections and resources. Or she provides that validation. I'm a achiever on the Enneagram. I love personality tests. And validation is kind of something that we need, or I need. And so I have a team of people, I call them green dots, in all areas of my life that serve different things so that I can live my best life and bounce out of those situations within the day.
And you said within a day rather than just carrying on and on and on. That quick adjustment that I think we all need, right? I mean, something who wants to be stuck in a space when there's a solution for it? So I really appreciate that and recognize the gift in that stuff. So now, as you talk about your career and your experiences, did you mention earlier that you there's a job situation or a job change or something recently?
So something else that's shown my strengths was that I kind of really want to help the community. So I've noticed that I struggle when I'm in positions or jobs where I can't serve in other areas for conflicts. So I finally, and I would say mindset change is really what allowed this to happen. I finally put in my 30-day notice, April 26th. And the funny part of that was I looked at my husband and I said, well, I said I was going to do this in June. So I guess if I have to do it, I got to do it today. So that's kind of how that so yeah, so then I had 30 days and then I scheduled my opening to be 2 weeks after that, which usually can seem impossible because, you have to have the business licensing. In the mental health, you have to have all of your paperwork. You have to have the protocols, and then insurance. Here where I live, insurance is a big thing, and they actually now reimburse us pretty well. And I'm all about continuation. So I made sure I had all the insurances if any patients wanted to follow me, because I strongly believe in what I told you with the same therapist. And so I always tell them I will always have an outpatient service to provide that for them. And I pulled that off, but I also know if I didn't put a date, then there's no motivation of procrastination to that.
I heard you mention that.
I use my weaknesses often. I am aware of them and I use them to get the job done.
We're gonna get that done, and next year. When next year? We're in the fall. Okay, so when in the fall, right?
Yeah. If I don't, I do that 5-second rule on the action by Mel Robbins, where it's if I think, then I'm an overthinker. My brain runs fast. I can't think. I just have to do, because I will talk myself out of anything.
Well, you're not alone. I mean,
most of the entrepreneurs, actually, we have a lot of the similar traits. So I love working with overthinking entrepreneurs to really flip those weaknesses to strengths, or really figure out how to thrive in all areas of your life when you're an entrepreneur.
So what let's talk about thriving and teaching. And Mel Robbins is just amazing. So there's so much to say about that person. So when you talk about thriving, what's a common thing that you're finding? Because entrepreneurs are, like you said, we talk ourselves out of stuff, in and out of stuff in 20 seconds.
Mel Robbins is 5.
It's 5 seconds, I mean, perfect 5. Right? I mean, that's true. Because this morning when I was out with my wife, I was like, why came out? I said, why? And then just stopped, and just do it. So, but what is it? What can you share, Shelby, that can help somebody that doesn't have the benefit of the mental guidance?
Well, actually, when you said why, that actually prompted me that I always say, why not?
Yes.
So one of the tricks is that as word, I've learned I love words, because a word change can mean anything. So some people do not say the word but, say the word and. And when you start saying it, it forces you to say it differently. And then the receiver feels it differently.
Yes.
And so I probably use what could be a weak. So here's the weakness strength flipped. So overthinking could be my curse, but it's also a gift.
Yes.
And I flip it to then overthink my word changes, or to be able to pause and look and dig in it and see if there's something I can change in the pattern, because every feeling we feel, or everything, has a recipe.
Yeah.
The trick is knowing that. And one of the ways to get there and not get defensive is to say, how exactly? One of the quick examples that I give with that to make you feel it is that, so a little boy goes up front and he starts the curtains on fire of the house. And normally you're like, what are you doing? What were you thinking? And you can see how I feel and project that. So now if I go back and I say, well, Jimmy, how exactly did that happen? Okay, well then how did that thought come to you? And what it came down to was, and that you think about how I'm projecting and how you're feeling, it makes my curiosity come out. So a little boy that then might freeze from the first approach, and then when you freeze, some brains don't allow you to access. That's where the I don't knows come out. or the other one, and come to find out his parents were divorced. And if the fire squad comes, maybe his dad will come because he's on the fire squad.
Yeah.
We would have never gotten to that had I not. And it is hard. How is like, it completely changes. And so I do a lot of that. And then something else that I want to make sure I say that I shared was something about fears. Oh, I am not embarrassed.
Yeah.
Like I'm vulnerable. I'm transparent, which transparency is something I really learned from the Grant Cardone kind of foundation. And now that I use it, I don't know why we're in a world that isn't transparent, that isn't trusting.
Yeah. That's crazy.
And so luckily I own my faults, or I laugh at them. And then laughter is the biggest flip of them. If you can laugh about anything, your emotion changes very quickly.
Yeah.
And so I don't fear asking for help. So when I was in those situations, I was like, okay, who can I call? Who can I call? Okay, like, I don't know what words to say, or like what's going, but here's like, help me. Like, I'll also never forget my very first patient ever in that clinic. I'd caught wind that she was coming in with like suicidal thoughts. I was like, I'm in a different county. I don't know what I'm doing. I know somebody in the hospital next to me. So I like called her. She's like, oh, perfect. I'm about to have lunch with our director. Do you just want to come over? And I'm like, yes.
I even buy lunch if I have to, right?
But sometimes, and kind of like we talked about with faith, or like I've learned recently to flow. Things happen for a reason we may never know.
Yeah.
And whether you believe it from universal energy or through faith of God or a higher power, there's some connection there. And so it makes no sense that was an available thing.
Yeah.
But I wouldn't have gotten there if I would have feared being vulnerable and not followed the first thought that came to me.
Yeah. I mean, what do they say? That first thought is usually the right thought.
Yeah. Or from a spiritual standpoint, they say that whisper, that's the truth.
That's right.
The very first whisper is the truth. So if you get lost in it with the overthinking, then you got to break off and kind of regroup to refine for your decisions. And it's about making a decision of where you want to go versus your toward versus your away move to help with those indecisive.
Yeah.
Because
a lot of people struggle with indecision.
Oh, I did. Dude, that was one of the things I've learned in the last couple of years, were those two, a moment of my values and like that image of who I want to be and not want to be.
Yeah.
And then I pause, and then I force myself to do the thing no one wants to do, which is meditation, or planned moments of silence in the noise to retrain your brain, because that's when the truth comes out, when you're quiet. I did a whole training on called the Silva method. It helps the overthinking brain, where the quiet meditations don't like work. They're called active meditations. That kind of pairs with a little bit of hypnosis.
Okay. That sounds like powerful ways of adjusting and resetting.
Yeah. I learned that. I was amazed when I started doing it with my patients that nothing else worked before.
Wow.
It's like, okay, I'm gonna have to like research this now, or so then I can teach other people in my discipline, because in my discipline we are evidence-based.
Yeah.
But the world tells you what they research or what's evidence-based. And so I've also gotten on Mind Valley, and they have a whole plethora of evidence-based when you're stuck. That's not here. And so I'm integrating that a little bit.
Yeah. Yeah, that's interesting. I'm gonna have to look into that myself, because I can see where, evidence. I mean, right? And that's how I learn from the evidence of others. You know, it's either working for them and it's demonstrated, or it's not. Either way, the evidence is what it is, right? It's a result of it, Shelby. So I really appreciate you sharing that. And this is some great stuff. So, hey, I'm going to tell you, folks that are hearing this recording, don't worry if you don't understand everything she's saying. Go back and listen to it again. Because, I mean, she's dropping some really powerful things in the time she has here. So, and they're for free. So I would certainly encourage you to go back and do that. So Shelby, as we get into kind of getting close to kind of winding it down, you know, I had a note here I wanted to ask you about that you know, I mean, everything sounds good and you got a beautiful smile on your face and you've learned some things and all of that. But what's a turning point? If we could back up just a second, you know, we've talked about a lot of different things. But what's a turning point that, like, man, you kind of like, oh man, you know, everybody has those times, and I always like to say, get punched in the gut or knocked over, and because we're all about coming back, right? As you know, I'm known as a comeback king and never giving up, you know, and resilience and all those things, and that's what the community is about. What was your comeback? You got a comeback moment that maybe you can drop on us?
So overall in my lifetime, there's probably been multiple opportunities to have the comeback moments, to be able to be as resilient as I am now. One of the flips that I get huge energy from challenges. So if you tell me I can't do it, then challenge accepted. Probably the recent one, which is actually how I start the beginning of my chapter in my book, was my stepmother died, and suddenly, and for some reason that really stuck me on this path of really changing my mindset, just jumping in without overthinking and just trusting. I have a team of people. One of the things I say all people need is, it could just be 2 or 3 or 1, the person they go to that knows them the best, that they can trust to give them good feedback, whether it's I always say, hey, I'm calling just to vent. I don't need anything but that. And they'll be like, okay. Or like, I'm calling because this thing keeps happening and I don't know if it's me or if it's that situation. And then that person will also be there if I keep coming back with the same thing. And then she's like, well, you know, you've come back with this like 5 times in the last month. So we might have to problem solve this.
Yeah, you got more going on.
Yeah. And having faith, you know, like who would have thought that people would have a heart attack when I speak out loud of what, like, sometimes I have to get over not telling them because I don't want their hesitance. Because I do the childcare coaching on Mondays and I do the therapy on the BetterHelp platform on Wednesday. I do private practice therapy now on Thursday. Friday's catch-all. Somehow I wrote that chapter in 4 days, and with it comes an interview and like online in London and being on a panel. Not been on any of those things.
Come on now, I'm not gonna let
and then literally you guys contacted me after I quit my job. It was kind of like I finally did what I've been told to do for years. Yeah. And now the universe is giving me so you but the universe or God, it's just gonna like go down this away path. But if you trust and listen, that's when amazing things. So trusting and listening.
Trust and listening. And Shelby, the listening piece, people say, well, what am I listening for? And you and I were talking about it earlier. It's the whisper.
Yeah, it's that very first whisper. The Marie Diamond and the Sonia, Google Sonia, spiritual. She's cute. I've been learning tools to teach my patients to reconnect with their intuition and spirit. Yeah. I always quote, so Einstein once said, which there's back and forth on this too. let me see if I can quote this. It always leaves me now that I'm on the heat of the moment. I'm overthinking it.
You got to let it go, bro. It doesn't have to be perfect.
I know. So the sacred gift is the intuitive mind, and the faithful servant is the rational mind. We have given too much power to the servant, and we have forgotten our gift.
Yes.
And that throws people off in my field because it said rational, right? And we debate rational, irrational, fact versus fact, which again allows you to overthink.
Yeah.
And basically he's like, no, your mind is there to serve your purpose and your spirit. And his inventions and the ideas of him and Edison and a series of people is when they were in that quiet, the ideas came to him. When he couldn't solve a problem, he got on that bike or he left it. And that's when he got the answer. So I always, what's really benefited them is reconnecting with that intuition.
I love it. Reconnect, because it's there. We just get separated.
There's just, your phone's beeping. I usually start my sessions with meditation or any presentation I do, because I'm like, there's no transitions anymore. In COVID, you could do literal, or when you used to walk, you'd get up, you'd summarize what you were doing, you get a little movement, prepare for the next thing, and there'd be a transition. And that doesn't exist anymore, because then you're texting or you're emailing and then you're exhausted. And then you're decision fatigued.
I love that. Those are just 4 great things that everybody that's listening or hear the recording. Make sure you go back and write those down. I know I am, because it's so true. I mean, we're all, I gotta get to this. Just crazy, right? So Shelby, hey, listen, how do people get a hold of you? Anything else you got to share, offer them as we wrap this up?
So I am on essentiallifetools.org website, and the email is info@essentiallifetools.org. I do have a Facebook page. I'm converting that end URL to be theessentiallifetools.org. I'm getting back on my YouTube, because before COVID, I had started to do a podcast asking people to be vulnerable and helping them. I'm redoing that. And on the website, I do have some free handouts to try to get the ball rolling too on your best life, with prompting that vision that I said.
What was the website again, Shelby?
essentiallifetools.org. And my thing is using art and science to create your best life. We envision a world that says you can't is replaced with you can.
Yeah, I love it.
Which I got from a branding. I did a whole branding gig, so I'll be converting all my things. So that's.
That's one of our 3 terms in conversations with Geoff and the Coming Back community is about. It's not I can, it's I can. It's not I will, it's I must. It's not me. I will.
It tells you from the day you're born, you can't.
I know.
In the systems, like when you're kids, you fall on your face and you don't care.
Yeah.
We're adults and we don't even consider it.
That's funny you say that. I talk about living through the mind of a 12-year-old or a 5-year-old, the imagination of a 5-year-old. Nothing stops them. Nothing is not about anything other than what I want.
And so usually that's where I get the trauma. Like even your life of you can't. You forget who you are. You don't know your strengths. There's no system that ever talks about putting labels to value, so you can actually be like I told you, like, okay, overthinking. How is this being a curse to me right now, or a gift? How am I going to flip it?
Yeah, that's right.
So yeah,
you've done a great job, Shelby.
Thank you.
So now I'm actually typing in. I think I made a mistake on your email. So it's essential
life tools with an S.
Okay.
.org. Now you're gonna make me check.
Essentiallifetools.org. All right, and we'll
Yeah.
What was the other one? I haven't even. I don't know what I was thinking about. Info and whatever that is. That's
the email. So funny story. I spent the first 5 months because I also am an inventor and I have toilet bomb cleaners that you just like plop in your toilet unscented.
Nice.
And I had spent 5 months with the wrong email on my business cards.
Ah.
It was .com instead of, and then I had this huge sign and the website URL was .com and .org. I'm sitting here like I made them exactly the same, so I wouldn't, because I have horrible working memory, especially post kids and COVID.
Oh man, I get it.
It was like I don't know why the world wanted that to happen.
Yeah.
Or why we had technical issues, but it had to happen. It gave me the opportunity to snack, finish my coffee. The anxiety that comes before this was no longer there because you and I were like laughing because we were like, yep, that just happened. Even to the point, I know we need to end, but I felt a feeling to fly because I had to go to Florida for the Grant Cardone things. I signed up for a program, the 10-year accelerator program.
Nice.
And I go in person because that's how I, met you. And I believe in the physical connection, relationship, and networking.
Yes.
So anyway, so I had a feeling to go to Tampa where the person that is building our charting system, because I was involved in all things leadership. And I'm like, this doesn't make any sense because I had to then get a flight down to Miami.
Yeah.
And I didn't listen to the whisper. And then turns out if I would have flew Tampa, I would have got home at 3 p.m. instead of flying to North Carolina and down where I got stuck for 8 hours. And so I'm sitting here like texting a couple of my I'm like, so is this one of those moments where you should have just did it and you'll just never know why?
Yeah.
Trust that it was the right thing. And then that was like, so examples like that now keep popping up that I'm aware.
Yeah.
I'm like, there I go again.
Yeah, I love that. And we always get chances to hear the voices, always talking to us.
Yeah, the opportunities, man.
Yeah, the opportunities are there, and so what a great way to kind of give people some thought about what voice are you listening to, and are you giving yourself time to really hear the whisper? Because fortunately, it never goes away.
Nope.
I mean,
the first thing that develops is your heart.
Yeah, your heart is it.
The next thing is your hearing.
Yeah.
And no one can explain how your heart beats for the first time. And some would say that's your spirit. And that's why it's your whisper, because it's the next thing that develops in the womb.
I love that. I've not heard it put.
Not me, by the way.
Yeah, I'm using that one. I like that.
Thanks.
Oh, man. Hey, well, Shelby, listen. Oh, man, it's been wonderful chatting with you and all the things that you dropped, and people make sure that they reach out to you. I want to thank you for your time today, both before we were able to go live and during this show, because it's been tremendous time for us, and we've got a lot out of it. So I want to say thank you, thank you, thank you.
Well, and thank you for the opportunity. I was super excited and honored when I could be on the show. So.
Well, it all worked out the way it was supposed to. So.
Yep.
Until we talk again, my friend, you have a fantastic day.
You too. I hope now it's flipped to be better.
Yeah, it's going to be. I mean, it already has, right?
Nothing left, so we got it.
Yeah, we're in good shape. So thank you for your energy and your message. You take care. Talk to you soon.
Awesome. Thanks. Groovy.
All right. Bye-bye.
Bye.
Hey, well, listen, I know we went over a little bit, but that was worth it to me. I mean, and I hope you, if you didn't have time and don't have time, go back and listen from the beginning, wherever you came in at and wherever you're going to hear this thing at, because there's a lot of things around the whisper, a lot about the conversation that goes on with ourselves, about ourselves, and also some really great things that she suggested. So as always in this community, the comeback community is about getting up, baby, paying attention, becoming aware, and Shelby dropped, challenges provide opportunities, and if you got some mental health issues and you're not certain, or if you have some stuff around, people looking at you differently because you seek those services, I encourage you, don't do it. Go get help, man. everybody needs some help sometimes, whether it's formal help or like Shelby talked about, having a circle of people around you that, it's a safe zone to go talk to about. Create yourself a safe zone, man. That's what this comeback community is all about, right? Where you can come in here and you can talk about some things that are driving you crazy. You can share with some folks that have similar experiences, and then you can change that stinking thinking, right? Oh man. So listen, I'm gonna thank everybody for doing that, and I'm still offering scheduling for keynote speaking in and around business owners, trying to bridge that gap between that disenfranchised employee that has skills and assets that know they are worth something, and maybe there's some things that have come up from COVID. The wall is there. We help you break that wall down and close that gap so that you can get the maximum effort out of your employees and create the best environment for them to be in. A lot of cool programs that we can talk about in that space. Being in corporate America for 22 years and an entrepreneur for 22 or so, there's a lot of things that I've experienced and have helped hundreds of other folks in different capacities. Come back, baby, right? So anyway, listen, gotta go. Appreciate everybody, and we'll see you on the next Conversations with Geoff. Check out the information in the chat. My information is in there. Shelby's information is in there. Take away the excuses, baby, and let's make something happen. Make some things happen in your life. Talk to you soon. Bye-bye.